Hi there, welcome back. So, here is the body blank, which is the name we give to the piece of wood before we cut the body out of it, made up of those very rustic pieces of wood. The tortola coming from that piece that looked like junk. What I'm going to do now is, you see, there are a couple of ways you can go about cutting out a body. You can just cut it out on a bandsaw freehand and then sand up the edges as best you can and make it all look nice. And that, you can get perfectly good results doing that. Or if it's a shape that you just want to make sure that you get right, or if it's one that you're going to mass produce, you might build a template. And well, even if you've got a template, you might still cut it out freehand and then put the template on and flush trim route the edges with your router to the template to make sure it's perfect. Or what also works quite well is, before you've even cut the blank into a body, put your template on the blank and then route a deep channel all the way around it so that you've got the shape sorted out. I mean, you could in theory just route all the way through the wood, or you could do the routing first and then use the routing as a guide to cut it out with the bandsaw. I mean, there are different ways to go, I guess is what I'm saying. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use templates, because remember that the shape of this body was made up from multiple templates. So one at a time, I'm going to clamp a template on, and then I'll use that template to route out the part of the edge that was based on that template. I'll take it off, I'll put on another template and route out the part of the edge that was based on that template, and so on. Just because templates do kind of feel a bit safer. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not yet sure what the loudest woodworking tool in existence is, but it's probably either a router or a jointer. They're both pretty loud, or at least mine are. Well, as you can see, as you might have seen, it took me a while sometimes to decide which curve was the best one to use. There are a few spots like that one where I'm going to have to, there's a little bump there, I'll just tidy that up with the sander, but that's going to be easy to cut out now. And that's a pretty funky looking guitar. That might be the new version of the Flame going forwards, because having that shaped cutaway actually makes it easier to support on your knee. Even though the other one looks nice, this seems to be a bit more practical. Right, let's cut it out and sand up those imperfections and see what we've got. So now that I've got that smooth edge routed all the way around, it's pretty easy to use a flush trim router just to trim off the remaining bits that are rough from the bandsaw cut. Okay, now I'll go through a few different types of sanders and some hand sanding just to clean up those bumps and ridges around the edge. I've sanded the front and back down to 120 grit. That'll do for now. I'll make it even prettier when it comes close to finishing the instrument whenever I do that. The edges, the inside curves, concave curves, I smoothed with my spindle sander, and the outside curves I smoothed with the disc sander. What next? Well, before I go changing the contour of the edges, while it's still easy to use as a template, I'm going to use this as a template to build a template, because I have decided I've possibly hit on my favorite guitar shape so far. So, I mean, you don't have to see me make the template, but that's what I'll do now. Then I'll go to the router and round over the edges. I'm going to start working on this body for now. So you saw me do the round over on all the edges. I've sanded the whole thing down to, gosh, what was it? I forget. At least 180, but the top I've gone even finer. I've gone down to 400. And just to give you some idea of how this can and will look at some point. I'm going to oil it. It can be wiped off or sanded off at some point, or not. Maybe I'll never need to wipe off the oil coat, but I just want to show you what has become of that very rough wood that we started with. Look at the figuring in that wood. Okay, so let's just put this to one side for now. You can find good wood all around you.